Pardon? I think it was, what, I bought it something pounds? I think brand new. I wouldn't, I rarely use it. I've got 4 pounds. Yeah, just because it's a bit of common sense. Even being common, I don't know. It's nice. It helps you to keep the chance. I've only got 2 model troubles actually for rent. This is the only one that was available.
Welcome everybody. Excuse me just a moment. So many microphones up here. Thanks a lot for coming. It's as well as our auction, which starts promptly at 3 o'clock. We've got a property-specific event. We've got 3 excellent speakers here today for you. If you haven't already eaten something, please feel free to eat and have a cup of tea and the rest of it. The fire escape issues are the same as I announced a few moments ago. There are no planned fire drills today, so if the fire alarm does go off, please get out of the building through the exits here, or if that happens to be blocked on the way that you came in. Sorry, somebody's... Okay, you've got the distinct advantage, there's not too many people here, but you've got the distinct advantage because if you listen to all 3 speakers today, you'll have a distinct advantage over lots of other people in the property market. Our first speaker today is Anthony Holdsworth. He's got a variety of items to talk about to you, which includes inheritance tax, legacy facing property investors, family investment companies, capital trusts, and generally using these FIC and CT to build wealth and mitigate IHT. So here he is, Anthony Holdsworth. Thank you.
Hands up if you can't hear me. Right, okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes? All right, okay. Well, really I'm talking about one thing today, which is wealth planning generally for the property investor. I just want to set out here what I'm going to talk about this afternoon. I'm first going to talk about what I think are the inheritance tax issues that property investors face. I then want to have a brief look at the other longer-term legacy issues that property investors face. I then want to show you a solution that can solve most of those issues, which comprises of 2 parts. The first part is a family investment company, which I will talk about, and the second part is a capital trust. Used together, they can solve quite a lot of the issues that I'm going to explain at the beginning. Towards the end then I'll have a look at precisely what the benefits are of this combination and also what the inheritance tax savings are. So into the first piece then, the inheritance tax issues that buy-to-let investors face. Property assets, you know, they usually amount to quite a significant amount of money, and that results in pretty large estates. And large estates can mean that an individual will qualify for less allowances on their estate, and it can result in higher inheritance tax. Now, a couple of years ago, something new was introduced for inheritance tax, which was a residence nil rate ban. Now, all of us have a nil rate ban for inheritance tax. We can all have assets of £325,000 before we will pay an inheritance tax. If we're a couple, we've got 2 of those, that means we can have £650,000 in our estate before we can pay inheritance tax. What was newly introduced was the residence nil rate ban, which was a new nil rate ban for if you have a property. And that nil rate ban gives you, in a couple of years' time, an additional £175,000 worth of assets that you can have without paying inheritance tax. If your estate is over a certain size, however, you lose this new residence nil rate ban. And that's one of the problems that property investors face. Because their assets are reasonably large, they lose some of their allowances. The other inheritance tax issues that property investors have is that property usually forms the large part of the estate. Property is illiquid, it's not cash, and that can give the executors or the heirs difficulties in paying the inheritance tax when you're gone. So these are some of the inheritance tax issues that property investors face. Here's a quick calculation of some inheritance tax. I've got an example here of a married couple that have got a main residence and some other assets that amount to £1 million. They've got a property portfolio, the net asset value of which is 2 million, so their total assets are 3 million. They qualify for 2 normal nil rate bans of 325,000 each, so we can knock that off of the estate. And they don't qualify for the residence nil rate bans because the value of their estate is too high. That means that 2.35 million of their estate is chargeable to inheritance tax, and at 40%, that leaves this married couple with a huge inheritance tax bill of almost £1 million. And if you look at the figures on the screen there, you can see that there's no way that that estate is going to have liquid assets of £1 million to pay the inheritance tax. So a big inheritance tax bill and insufficient liquid assets to pay it. The other issue that I feel that property investors face is long-term legacy issues. Property investors usually don't really want the assets to be liquidated after their death. They want to preserve the assets for future generations, and they want the assets to provide income for future generations. And of course, if you gift the assets in your will on your death, then those who inherit can do whatever they like with them. The other concerns that property investors generally have is that they don't want to leave assets to children who are at risk of bankruptcy, because it could result in the whole of the estate being consumed by a bankrupt heir. And they also worry about leaving assets to children where they're concerned about the marriage and they're concerned about divorce, because that can lead to part of the estate being consumed by the outgoing spouse. So these are the long-term legacy issues that property investors face, as well as the inheritance tax issues. Now, the solution that can deal with both of these is to use a family investment company with a capital trust, and I'll explain both of those in a minute. I'm going to talk at quite a high level, I'm not going to go into lots of detail. Needless to say, there are always complications in these things, and if it's something that you're considering finding out about, then come and have a chat to us for some advice. So, the family investment company. Now, this is a family company which is run for investment purposes. It's not a fancy vehicle, there's nothing unusual about it, it's an ordinary limited company owned by the family and run for investment purposes. The company will typically be set up by the parents. The parents will be the shareholders and the directors of the company. And this company will receive income and it will pay expenses. And what we would do is we would put all of the property portfolio into this company. All of the rent would flow in, all of the expenses would be paid out. Note that a company can get a full tax deduction for any mortgage interest, which is quite important these days. And what's left is profit, and it will be taxed at the corporation tax rate of 19%. That rate will soon go down to 18%, and it will go down again to 17%. So what it means is the company provides a nice low tax environment for the family company to build wealth. Now, the family investment company isn't just for property. You can put other assets in there as well. You can put cash in there. The family investment company can hold bonds, shares, loan notes. It can invest in whatever it likes. What we do need to do, though, is we need to keep in view capital gains tax when we are putting assets into the company. And we also need to keep stamp duty in view as well. It's usually something we can do to make sure that neither of those are payable, but it's something that we need to keep in view if we're going to do this. Now, I'm a graphical person, so this is what a family investment company looks like as a picture. The family investment company is the blue box. You can see that the properties are inside the company in the blue box. We've got income going into the family investment company. We've got expenses going out, and you can see at the bottom there that mum and dad own the company and are the directors of the company. So it's a pretty simple and straightforward arrangement. The big benefit of that setup is that you get to build wealth in a low tax environment. Now, if you now combine that family investment company with a capital trust, you can achieve much, much more. Now, what would happen is the company would set up the capital trust, and the trust would be set up for the benefit of the officers and employees of the company. Now, the parents of the company are the officers, they are the directors, and therefore the trust will benefit the parents and their children. The parents will then gift their shares in the family investment company to the trust, so that now they no longer own the family investment company, the trust owns it. And what's important here is that the family investment company is immediately outside the estate. From the moment the shares are gifted to the trust, the family investment company is immediately outside of the estate, which then results in a huge drop in the value of the estate. The final point to note about the capital trust is that the trust is discretionary. That means that anything done by the trust, and therefore done by the company, is done in the absolute discretion of the trustees. Nobody can compel the trustees to do anything, but the parents are the trustees. Now, as the parents are trustees, it means that the parents control what is done with the trust, and it means they control what is done with the company. It is possible for the company to pay salaries to the parents and also to pay salaries to the children. And the company can also pay dividends. Now, dividends are paid to the people that own the company, and you'll recall that it's actually the trust that now owns the company. So dividends can be paid by the company to the trust, and then the trustees can mandate those dividends to any one or all of the beneficiaries of the trust. So it gives the trustees a lot of flexibility to distribute income from the company. And this is what it looks like on a diagram. You will see there that at the bottom in the circle, the parents have been replaced by the capital trust as the owner of the family investment company. And you can see on the right-hand side, the family receiving income from the trust. Now, the benefits of using a family investment company with a capital trust are that we can achieve resolution of a lot of the issues that I outlined at the beginning. With the capital trust, we can preserve the capital for future generations. The trust deed that creates the capital trust states quite clearly that the beneficiaries can benefit from income, and it prevents them from benefiting from capital. So what that means is that under the trust deed, the trustees can't go around selling all the properties and dishing out all of the cash to the beneficiaries. So the trust enables the family wealth to be preserved and handed down. And what that enables the family to do is to provide provision of income to the current generation and to future generations, preserving the capital so that we can provide income for generations. The other thing is that the family investment company with the capital trust allows us to build wealth in a low tax vehicle, currently 19%, and it will go down to 17%. And it also achieves the protection that we wanted against bankruptcy of heirs. Now, the reason why the capital trust assists with this is as follows. The parents don't own the company, the trust does. The heirs don't own the company, the trust does. And so in the event of bankruptcy of an heir, for example, it is not possible for the trustee in bankruptcy to attempt to consume any of the assets in the trust, because the individual that's being declared bankrupt doesn't own them. They can't take any of the assets that are in the trust. So we're in a position where the bankrupt heir can continue to receive income from the trust, but none of the assets that generate the income can be taken to clear his debts. A similar logic applies to divorced spouses. So we have an heir who is married to a spouse. They divorce, and the spouse has no claim on the assets in the trust because the heir doesn't own the assets in the trust. He is merely a beneficiary of the trust who is allowed to receive income. The final benefit of this, and possibly the biggest one, is that using the family investment company with the capital trust achieves huge inheritance tax savings. And I've got some numbers on the screen here so that you can see just how beneficial the arrangement is. Now, you'll recall at the beginning when I gave you an example of a married couple with a main residence and other assets totaling £1 million, and a property portfolio with net assets of 2 million. And you'll recall how this couple paid almost, or their heirs would have paid almost £1 million on their death. Now, let's suppose that we moved the property portfolio into a family investment company and then used a capital trust. Calculations would then look very, very different. The estate would comprise of the main residence and the other assets of £1 million. The net assets of the property portfolio would not be in the estate because they're in the trust. So we've got 0 there. That makes the total estate £1 million. Our married couples benefit from a nil rate band of £325,000 each. So we can knock £650,000 off of our £1 million estate. And because their estate is now not so large, they do now benefit from a residence nil rate band each, which gives them further allowances of £350,000, which leaves them with an estate that is subject to IHT of 0. And of course,
after 80 yards, turn right.
And of course, 40% is zero. So you can see there that inheritance tax savings can be really quite amazing. The summary then of the family investment company with the capital trust. It provides, the combination of the two provides an excellent vehicle in which to build and hold wealth in a low tax environment, a tax rate that will eventually fall to 17%. We can protect our capital from divorce, we can protect our capital from bankruptcy, we can also protect our capital from excess. If we're concerned about our children liquidating all the properties and buying Ferraris or going on cruises, we can protect against that because the assets are in the trust. It enables us to provide long-term income, and obviously we get huge benefits with the inheritance tax savings as well. That concludes my piece on the family investment company and the capital trust. If anybody wants to talk to us about it, we'll be here all afternoon, so please do feel free to come and have a chat. I'll pass you back to Dave.
Wow, this is something to think about. That's excellent. Thank you, Anthony. Thanks from everybody. Moving swiftly on to our next speaker, Nathaniel Lee from Affinity Mortgages. He's going to discuss all sorts of details in relation to bridging finance and regulation, case studies. Nathaniel, come and help.
Thanks for the introduction. Hi there, everyone. I just want to introduce our company first. So I'm Nathaniel, my director over there is Jamie, and we're Affinity Mortgages and Affinity Premier. So we're one of the largest independent and whole of market brokerages in the area. Launched more recently the Premier brand to focus on three areas of finance on the screen: bridging, commercial and development. Now, bridging is going to be more relevant to the majority of you, but I will touch on commercial and development at the end. Let's start with bridging. So, in the interest of time, if anyone has any questions, please ask them at the end. We'll be here for the whole auction. So, the first thing is, what is bridging finance? I'm sure many of you have heard of it in the past. It's essentially a short-term financial solution with a planned exit strategy. So let me break that down. So the first thing is it's short-term, as in it can be up to 24 months, but a typical bridge is somewhere in the region of 6 to 12 months. So you're looking at a financial product to get something in an auction perhaps, or a few other reasons I'll go through in a moment. But the main thing that it does is it's incredibly quick. So the general term that you're looking, speed that you're looking for is getting funds from an initial chat to getting funds in your bank somewhere in the region of 2 to 3 weeks, but it can be even quicker than that. We've had it up to 6 working days as the quickest. As I said, term length is somewhere in the region of 6 to 12 months, but we can have it as short as 3. Now, the exit strategy part of that sentence is you have to have something that you are looking to get out of the bridge, because it's calculated in a different way that I'll go through in a moment. But you need to make sure that you're able to get out of the bridge onto a term loan. So that would be a residential mortgage or a buy-to-let mortgage or some other long-term finance, so you can exit the bridging loan. For that, the typical exit strategies, as I say, it'll be sale. If it's an investment property that you're just looking to flip, you'll get it on the market as soon as you can. If it's a buy-to-let investment that you want to keep for long term, you'd speak to us and we'd get a buy-to-let remortgage product on that afterwards. In terms of the cost structure, you're looking at entry fees of somewhere between 0 and 5% of the loan. that's the sort of the typical, but obviously it depends on who we go to, and you want to speak to a broker so that you can make sure that actually the criteria for that particular purchase that you're looking at meets that, meets the scenario that you have. One of the, in terms of interest payments, one of the things that you're doing when you're getting an investment is you're looking to put in as, you want to go in as quickly as possible. You don't want necessarily to have the worry of having to make standard mortgage payments back to the lender. So there's going to be 3 different ways that you can make payments back to the lender. So the first one is a serviced interest. Everyone here, I assume, has a mortgage or has had one in the past. You would make standard mortgage payments back to the lender over time, and they're just repayments. There's a couple of other ways that you can do it. You can have retained and you can have rolled up interest. So what that would be is they calculate how much you owe the bank back. You get your net loan, which is how much you need to purchase the property, do the works perhaps if it's in an unmortgageable state, and then they retain that, and you have that, your interest payments deducted from that every month until you repay the bridge with the exit, which would be the remortgage or the sale of the property. The last section on this would be regulated versus unregulated bridging. So much like your standard mortgages and buy-to-let, if you're purchasing a property that is going to be for your residential use, or you've lived in it in the past and you're remortgaging it, whatever, it becomes a regulated product. There are a few lenders that will touch this, and the rates can be quite preferential on a regulated side. So if there is actually any reason that you've ever been in there or you're going to live in there, then we can look at that. On a unregulated side, you're looking at a broader section of lenders, and the rates can be a little bit higher on that. So I guess one of the other things is, apart from what is a bridge, it's why would I need a bridging loan? Why would I not just get a term loan, buy-to-let mortgage, or whatnot? So the first one is it's unmortgageable. So you might see in some auctions, or there might be a property that comes up with some agents, that the bathroom and the kitchen specifically are in an unmortgageable state. So you'll see ones where they've perhaps been, the tenant's not kept it very well. It needs a complete overhaul, and most mortgage companies, well, all mortgage companies are not going to look at that. They're going to need you to get short-term finance, get in, do the renovation work, and then remortgage it as an exit. Another reason would be the break and chain. So we've got a lot of people who, we've got a chain of property purchases that are going through, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, one of them falls through. You still want to get your ideal property, but you don't have the funds because you can't sell your property, and you don't want it to fall through, so we can get a bridging loan for that. Auction purchases, obviously that's why you're all here. Hopefully you can stick around afterwards and see how you can do at the auction. With those, you need to complete within 28 days. It's almost impossible to get a mortgage set up and offered and paid out within that 28-day period, and obviously there's penalties if you go over that. So it's a much safer route to get a bridging loan agreed, at least in principle before, or even on the day, and then we can get the funds out to you within that really short time frame. And the last one is, and I'm going to do a case study in a moment, is insufficient liquidity. So if you don't have enough cash to put down a larger deposit for a standard mortgage, you can cross-collateralise with any properties that you have in the background. So it could be residential, it could be commercial, it could be some buy-to-let. And what you can do is put down less cash. Obviously you need to put some cash down for the auction purchase, say, but you can put down less overall. So, in terms of the first one, we had a client who came in and he was living in his mother's bungalow that had been in the family for 100 years, no mortgage on it whatsoever, and the property that was next door came up for purchase. It didn't have the right sort of, it was in an absolute state. It had a tree growing through the kitchen, it needed complete renovation. So we couldn't get a mortgage on it, and he didn't really have a deposit. And there was also an added complication that there was a bankruptcy in the past. So what we did was we were able to cross-collateralise across the two properties. So his one was worth 350, the purchase one was about 210, and he needed around 20,000 for renovation works because he was in the trades. So we went to the lender, we spread it across the two. He didn't actually need to put any in, it wasn't an auction purchase, it was someone he knew personally that was selling the property. So we put it across the two, we got the loan at 0.62% per month, and he was able to get the property, renovate it, and then he let it out. He released some money, and he was on to his next one. Just something that I didn't touch on earlier is how the interest payments are calculated. So on a standard mortgage, you'll have an APR for the whole year. That's how much it's, standard residential somewhere in the region of 2%, buy-to-let similar. How they calculate it with a bridge is they are going to tell you what the rate is per month. So you're going to go in and it's going to be somewhere between 0.5 and 1.5% per month, calculated on a monthly basis initially and going on to a daily interest calculation after a certain number of months, depending on which lender it is. So what that means is with a roll-up calculation, you're going to have a chunk that is your interest payments for the entire term, which would be perhaps 12 months. After the first 3 months, what will happen is, if you were to repay it after those, you'll only have to pay the interest that you've accrued on those first few months. So whatever's left in the pot then comes off of the remaining amount that you need to pay them back. On the second case study, we had a client who had her own residential. She had bought it privately in cash, £71,000. It was in an absolute state again. She moved in, renovated the whole thing. It was then worth 170. She had a developer friend that had built a property and wanted to do another one, needed some cash, so she started buying chunks of it in tranched payments. So she was paying £50,000 every 2 or 3 months up until the full completion. Unfortunately, there was some ill health for her husband, and she didn't have the cash to make the last payment. So she was going to be in breach of contract, and he was very unhappy. He was going to take it to, he was going to get the solicitors involved, and it was going to be very messy. So we were able to get £100,000 out for the previous purchase that she missed, so she wouldn't be in breach of contract anymore, and also pull out another 50 for the next payment that was going to happen. The next section I want to talk about is commercial finance. So it's very similar to the buy-to-let market in the sense that it's not about personal affordability, it's more about how much you're going to be able to rent it for and what the yield and whatnot is. So a typical deal is that you're going to be able to go up to 25 years. Unlike standard buy-to-lets where if you're going to put it into a company structure, you're looking at generally SPVs, so special purpose vehicles. They're the buy-to-let companies, they're the limited companies that you create to hold buy-to-let properties when you're doing it individually. It doesn't have to be just special purpose vehicles when you're doing commercial finance. It can be trading companies, so we can have a company that wants to put their trading business within, they're just buying a new premises for their shop or warehouse, whatever it happens to be. And also limited liability partnerships, we can find for that. Like buy-to-let, it can be capital interest and interest only, and it can be for myriad purposes, remortgage of existing debt, purchase, equity release if you wanted to invest further. Also, as many accountants are talking about, tax advisors are talking about, in terms of moving property from within a personal into a limited company structure, we can do that, so we can remortgage it from one into the other to release, and also to release equity to cover any costs that are needed during that process where possible. One of the major differences between buy-to-let, the buy-to-let mortgage market and commercial finance one is that if you're a director and you own 25% or more of the company, you're almost certainly going to need to provide a personal guarantee to the lender for the debt. It is possible also, if you've got adverse credit within the company, to get a commercial mortgage. So One of the most recent case studies that we have is we had a limited company. They had a couple of buy-to-lets held within it and a semi-commercial premises. There was also some residential property in the background. What they wanted to do is they wanted to release some funds so that they could put out, go into further investment. So we looked to get 75% loan to value across the board, which was then used for that reason, and also to clear some directors' loans. It was mainly assessed on the rental income of the buy-to-lets and the commercial help within the company. The last section I want to talk about is the development finance. So, unlike the commercial, which is very similar to buy-to-let, and the bridging, which is its USP is speed, development finance is typically only for people who have experience, or their team that doing the development works are experienced in previous developments. It can be used to fund the acquisition of the land, professional fees, and the build cost. Depending, you do have to have some skin in the game for usually the acquisition of the land, but typically you can get the rest of the work and the fees funded. One key thing is the practical completion. So what that means is you've got the development. It generally goes through stages. So you get the land, you do the groundwork, you get the first amount of the building work done, and it becomes wind and watertight, and then you've got the softer furnishings going in. So practical completion is where the building contractors are removing their liability and you're going onto your own building's insurance. That's kind of where the vibe is. At that point, you're looking to either refinance it onto a buy-to-let product for individual leasehold flats, perhaps, or any other longer-term finance if it was a commercial premises. A typical loan that you're looking at is you're looking at somewhere between 50 and 75% of the acquisition of land. So you will need to put some funds in at the beginning for the purchase. That will be drawn down on day one. As I said, the development finance lenders will provide 100% of the build cost in some cases, which is drawn down in tranches. So you'll get the first bit to get out of the ground, the next bit to build up, and then every few bits there. Basically what they'll do is they'll send out a valuer at each point that they are happy that you've reached the right position in the schedule of works, and then they'll release the next lot of funds. And also 100% of the roll-up interest and associated fees can be drawn down on day one, because obviously you need to pay containers and more. So, gone through that quite quickly because I know obviously we're a little bit strapped for time. We'll be here for the rest of the auction. Please come and chat to us afterwards if you need any advice on any of those topics. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Nathaniel. That was great. As he said, he's got a desk over here for any questions afterwards, and also Anthony Holdsworth and colleague is over here as well. So the next speaker is Alex Rubin of Tolhurst Fisher Solicitors, and he's going to talk generally about leasehold property and short leases. So welcome, Alex.
Still remember it.
Sound all good back? Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Anthony and David. This afternoon we're going to touch on, because I know we are pressed for time, unfortunately, lease extensions, obviously in connection at auction, so the advantages of selling short leasehold properties, also advantages of buying short leasehold properties at auction. And then we'll look at the lease extension process, kind of the two aspects of it. And then we'll go on to look at alternatives as well, once you've purchased the property at auction, and then how you may want to securitise that investment. So I think most of you will probably be aware, obviously the main advantage of selling at an auction would be you've tried potentially to sell it through a local agent or an online agent, and you haven't managed to because there is a short lease on the property. Now, I'll be very quick in terms of what I would define as a short lease, which is based on what most mortgage lenders would define as a short lease. So typically, a residential lease that is 80 years or less. Now, you can kind of understand why people would struggle to get a mortgage on that, because most mortgage lenders will pretty much not lend on anything that is sort of mid-80s going down to that 80 mark, because they want that security to be as long-term as possible. So in terms of someone that would be interested in purchasing that, the auction provides a great opportunity. You're going to have buyers that potentially will be looking at that type of property within their portfolio. So they may be an investment landlord that like purchasing short leasehold properties, which I will then go on to talk about in a minute in terms of why they want to buy that. The auction provides that kind of niche market, which agents don't typically have, and also obviously you're going to be looking at buyers with cash predominantly. But what you've also got to remember is, as a seller, you're not going to obviously fetch the full sale price because that property has a short lease. So you need to realise that there is a kind of a trade-off, that when you put it into auction, you may not achieve the price as what it would be with a long lease, but you are hitting that potential market that you wouldn't be elsewhere, potentially with high street agents and so on. So if we move now on to, as a purchaser, what the advantage would be for buying a short lease. So what I've got up here is, I've sort of termed it as a lease extension risk. It's not a risk as such, but it's the trade-off which I just mentioned in terms of, if you're a buyer, you obviously want to pay the right price, but also you need to factor in what the lease extension costs will be. Now obviously when you extend your lease, you typically pay a premium to the landlord or freeholder. I use those words interchangeably, they mean the same thing. So you need to kind of do your background work prior to the auction, and I would suggest speaking with a valuer. Hare & Sons have many valuers that you can talk to that would obviously give you the right advice for that, and that would give you an indication as to what you may well pay to extend your lease. Now, there are two ways of extending your lease, and we'll go on to those now. So the first way is by statutory or formal. Now, by that, you have to have owned the property for 2 years. So if you're buying auction, obviously you can't then extend the lease straight away. So this is something you would be looking at for having owned the property for 2 years from when you are the registered owner at the land registry. It's a fairly lengthy procedure. It's between 6 to 10 months. And in terms of getting the ball rolling with this, the first port of call is getting a valuation done. Now the valuation will obviously, as I mentioned, that will determine what you could pay for the lease extension, and then once the valuation has been carried out, your solicitor would effectively serve a Section 42 notice on the freeholder, which initiates your claim to extend your lease. So once that notice of claim is served, it draws a line in the sand as to the valuation of what you're going to pay in, let's say, 6 to 10 months at the end of the process. Now once that's served, the freeholder then has 2 months to respond with a counter notice. The freeholder does exactly the same. He will have a valuation carried out on his behalf or her behalf or the company's behalf, and they will then propose what they want you as the leaseholder to pay for extending the lease. Now that is going to be a lot higher than what you will propose as the leaseholder, because invariably you want to go in at a lower level because you want to pay less, and the freeholder will go in at a higher level because he wants to receive more when you extend your lease. So you can kind of see the battle that goes on with the process. In terms of costs, so once that notice of claim is served on the freeholder, you become responsible as leaseholder for not only your own legal and valuation costs, so in terms of valuation, that would be your surveyor's costs for valuing the lease extension. Your legal costs would be from start to finish, so your solicitor in serving the Section 42 notice, and then advising you throughout the process to the end. We'll touch on the remaining process in a minute. But also combined with that, you're responsible for the freeholder's costs. So it's not just your own legal and valuation, it's also their legal and valuation costs. So the process continues. After the 2-month period, you kind of hope the freeholder doesn't serve a counter notice. 9 times out of 10, or 99% of the time, the freeholder does serve a counter notice. Once that counter notice is served, you then have a period of 2 months for your instructed valuer and the freeholder's instructed valuer to pretty much get together and attempt to negotiate on the premium. The premium is just one aspect of the lease extension, but for all intents and purposes, it's the main kind of what you're going to be paying for with the lease extension. So there's that 2-month period, and then there's a 4-month period after that, where if there is a lack of progress between the negotiations, then you as the leaseholder have the opportunity to make an application to the tribunal. Now, the tribunal provides pretty much security for you as the leaseholder, that if you aren't getting anywhere, you can then put the pressure on the freeholder to start talking. So the tribunal has a process where each party has to adhere to the directions that the tribunal issues. Now, depending on what's outstanding, let's say everything's outstanding with the lease extension, so we're talking about the premium, we're talking about the actual lease extension legal documents, so all the terms in connection with that, and we're talking about the freeholder's costs. So they're the 3 items that can be negotiated and are always disputed in a statutory lease extension claim like this. Normally, once the application is made, if the freeholder does become, if negotiations weren't that fruitful before, they do become more fruitful, and as a leaseholder you kind of hope that you don't end up going to a hearing, which is kind of the last gasp event if you haven't managed to agree on any of those 3 parts of the lease extension. Now, in terms of the outcome of a statutory lease extension, you get a 189-year lease, so it's a 90-year extension on top of the existing lease term. So most residential leases that were created in the 80s, let's say, were 99-year leases or 125-year leases. So you get the 90-year extension on top of that. So 90 plus the 99 gives you the 189, or if you've got a 125, obviously you get the 90-year extension on top of that. In terms of the ground rent going forward, so the ground rent that you pay to a freeholder, it's a minimal fee under the 80s leases, but going forward from the statutory lease extension, it's 0, so there's no ground rent to pay. But obviously you are paying a premium, which pretty much takes into consideration that the freeholder won't get any return on the future ground rent from the existing lease. So let's say the existing lease provided for a ground rent of, say, £40, the premium would take into that consideration. There are also strict variations that the freeholder may try and incorporate into the lease extension, but the legislation doesn't provide for this to sort of take effect. It's quite strict. We won't touch on that now because we are pressed for time. The other bit to talk about with statutory lease extensions is with some lots at auction, you may well see that a Section 42 notice forms part of the auction contract. So in other words, the seller knows he's got a shortlist property, he's prepared the Section 42 notice of claim to extend the lease, and there's a premium that's going to be paid. So as a buyer, you kind of know what you may be in for after you've purchased the lease at auction. So once you've purchased the lease, so you've exchanged and you then completed, you then effectively get assigned as the buyer that lease extension claim. So you don't actually have to have owned the property for 2 years. You've pretty much circumvented it by stepping into the shoes of that flat owner. That takes effect effect at completion, and then you carry on the claim, negotiating with the freeholder from then on once the freeholder's council notice is served. Now, this is typical. It happens a lot more, obviously, with purchasing a short lease property at auction. An informal lease extension is agreed between yourself as the flat owner now and the freeholder. So effectively, an informal lease extension is a lot quicker. There's no qualification. So in other words, it's a gentleman's agreement. So you both come to an agreement, but it can be done very speedily, as I said. What you need to take into consideration is, once you've purchased that property, you then get into negotiations. The premium, the ground rent and the term get all agreed. Until you complete on that lease extension, you're not bound. So at any point, either of you can pull out. So if the freeholder pulls out, then you effectively lose those terms because he or she may want to renew them. So it's all subject to contract at that point. Again, cost-wise, you're responsible for both legal and valuation costs, again, depending on the nature of the negotiation. Let's look at the outcome, which again, you're looking at the same 3 outcomes, sorry, 4 outcomes, let's say, but one of them we've got to be very careful with. So normally with an informal lease extension, the term you're looking at, you won't get the 189 years. You'll normally get a new 99-year lease from the date of completion of the lease. So effectively, rather than having 189 years from 1980, you'll get 99 years from 2018. Or you get a 125-year lease from, let's say, 2018. This is the way informal lease extensions tend to go, because at the end of the day, the freeholder knows you haven't got the 2-year qualification, so they can use that to their advantage by providing you with a shorter lease, but you're getting what you want with a lease extension. Now, you'll obviously pay a premium, which, as we've touched on, that will be valued and agreed. Now, with the ground rent, an informal lease extension will involve an uplift in the ground rent normally. It's very rare that you get an agreement on a 0 ground rent. Firstly, because the freeholder knows that you can't extend your lease on the statutory route, and secondly, they would be advised that they would be entitled to receive a modern ground rent. So rather than the old lease that we said from the 1980s, where you were paying £40 a year, let's say, potentially the freeholder will be looking at a 0.1% of the property value. So let's say you buy a property with a long lease, it's worth £250,000. The freeholder will be looking at a ground rent of £250 per year on it. So it's a lot more than what you would be paying, or the previous owner would be paying under the existing lease, and it's obviously a lot more than 0 ground rent as a peppercorn with the statutory lease extension. Now, combined with that ground rent, the freeholder will also look at rent reviews. Rent reviews, as I've sort of noted here in terms of pitfalls, specialist advice is needed by a solicitor on this, in terms of ensuring that if you are going to mortgage the property at any point, or you're looking to sell the property, to ensure that any of the rent reviews that are connected to the ground rent aren't onerous. So in other words, you don't want the ground rent, let's say, increasing by that amount or doubling by that amount every 5 or 10 years, because effectively the ground rent at the end of the lease term will be into its tens of thousands, which lenders will look at and potentially say we won't lend on that property even though it's at the beginning of that term, because they're looking at it as a security for them and it won't be seen as a security. Again, the term, as I touched on, 99 years or 125 years, you want to ensure that those terms are being included in the informal lease extension. Anything less, again, you may have trouble getting a mortgage, and any resale as well, a purchaser is not going to look at purchasing a lease that is less than probably 99 years, even 90 years potentially. Just moving swiftly on, we'll just summarise kind of what we just touched on. So there's 2 parts, a statutory lease extension or an informal lease extension. The bonus of the statutory lease extension is you don't pay any ground rent for the future, but if you purchase the property at auction, you then won't be able to qualify for the 2-year ownership. So you've got the advantage of potentially a Section 42 notice being part of the auction pack. If it is, then excellent. But if it isn't, you'd obviously have to wait for 2 years to qualify. Then obviously looking at the informal lease extension, the advantage is you can extend the lease straight away. The freeholder is going to be aware that you haven't had ownership of the property for 2 years, so you will use that in negotiations to his advantage. But you will be probably paying a modern ground rent, which again you might not want to be paying, instead of the 0 ground rent which you would be paying on the statutory route. So as I've said here, with kind of bullet point at the bottom, it's what fits your investment portfolio. Are you prepared to extend your lease informally, maintaining a modern ground rent, or would you prefer to wait the 2 years, which may mean the premium you pay for the lease extension increases, and you accept the increased ground rent. Now we'll just look at very quickly alternatives. So aside from lease extensions, as a flat owner, if you're not happy about going down the informal route and you would prefer to have the protection and the future 0 ground rent or peppercorn ground rent going forward, then the other alternative is to potentially purchase the freehold of your building. So say you purchase a flat in a block, it's a converted house with 2 flats. Now, you need both flat owners, so yourself and the other flat owner, to participate. But there's no qualification criteria in terms of owning the property for 2 years. So, like I said, if you're not happy with the informal route, then you can always club together with the other flat owner, purchase the freehold, going down a very similar route to the statutory process with the service of notices, the time period of the transaction. You pay a premium, and obviously your premium will be similar to what you pay for a lease extension. Again, that is left to your valuer to determine. And then at the end of the lease, at the end of the freehold purchase, you can then extend your leases as you own the freehold, and you can extend them to, I would always advise, 999 years, because effectively you then got a freehold flat, a 0 ground rent, and there'd be no premium payable because you've effectively paid out the premium for purchasing the freehold in the first place. So in terms of qualification, there's no 2-year rule. The building must have 2 or more flats. All of the leases must be long leases, and by that they must be 21 years or more. So most residential leases qualify because they tend to be 99-year leases or 125-year leases. The building must not contain more than 25% non-residential. So that's important to figure out before you potentially get your valuation done. In terms of costs, again, you pay for your own legal valuation costs and also the freeholder's costs and legal evaluation. Process very similar to what we touched on with the lease extension, 6 to 10 months. The clock starts ticking from when you serve the Section 13 notice of claim. You obviously have your valuation. You've then got the tribunal process if that's necessary. And then obviously you pay your premium at the end to the freeholder in return for purchasing the freehold. The main advantages of that are you have the control. So you arrange the insurance and then you sort out the management of the building. And there's also no more ground rent to pay. If that's something you're not prepared to put up with, so you bought the freehold mainly because you didn't want to pay ground rent going forwards, and or your leases were short, you may want a managing agent, such as Hares, to manage the property and kind of take that off your hands. And obviously the added bonus which you mentioned was you grant yourself new leases. The disadvantage is in terms of responsibility, but again, if you want to instruct a managing agent like Hares to do that, then they can take it off your hands. And then finally, the other option is right to manage. Again, there's no qualification in terms of having owned the property for 2 or more years. Effectively, what you're doing with right to manage is you're taking the management away from the freeholder, and it is being kind of embodied in a right to manage company. So again, you're not extending your lease here, but if you've got problems with the management that's in place, you may want that management over to you, where you can control the insurance and any service charges. And again, you may well want a management company to carry out that kind of work for you in terms of managing the building. It's a fairly quick procedure. You are responsible for your own costs again and the freeholders, but there's no premium to pay. So all you're taking away is the management and, let's say, control of the freehold from the freeholder, and it becomes an RTM company which is governed by the flat owners. The advantage is there's no premium to pay. You have the control, insurance and management, but you do keep paying the ground rent. As I said, you can instruct a managing agent. In terms of disadvantages, again, responsibility, but that can of course go to a managing agent. That's everything from me, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you, Alex. Alex is available with his colleague on the table on the left throughout the sale. We're starting the auction promptly at 3 p.m. We've got a short, we're going to have a prize draw in a moment, but just to remind everybody there's plenty of food and a cup of tea and coffee in the other room if you want to help yourself. Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. A couple of minutes to go, but I've probably got that in announcements, so let's get started, shall we? Nice to see everybody here, lots of familiar faces, some new faces. Good to see everybody. I hope you're fed and watered, because we put on a little light buffer for you in advance. So good afternoon, welcome to Saxon Hall. I'm David Plasko, I'll be your auctioneer for today's sale. Thank you to my colleagues for their help in setting up, and to Rob Hennessy and Chelsea Anderson for their hard work leading up to today. Before I get started, there's just a number of announcements to make. If you're intending to bid, you are required to register in order to get a bidding number. If you have not yet registered, please let us know by raising your hand, and one of my colleagues will register you now. Alternatively, there are spaces at the registration desk at the back for you to go straight over there. There are no planned fire drills today, so in the event of an alarm sounding, the fire exit is through the doors to my right. If this way is blocked, please go out the way you came in if it is safe to do so. Your attention is drawn to the inside front cover of the catalogue, which has a notice to all bidders. We are selling subject to that notice, and also some amendments, a copy of which you should have. If there is anyone without the amendment sheet, please raise your hand and one of my colleagues will provide you with one. Any late lots circulated within the main catalogue are to be treated as though they form part of the catalogue. We are selling in accordance with the general conditions of sale and special conditions of sale contained within the legal packs, which you will be assumed to have read and understood. The general conditions of sale are not included within the catalogue and are available here in the room and from our website. These are the announcements which I would ask you to please listen to particularly carefully, because I have a set of announcements with 2 extra paragraphs on it over and above the announcements that have been released to you in writing. So there could be some important information here that relates to what you're about to bid on. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, with the important announcements. 15 Ashburn Road, Southend, will be offered immediately after Lot 1. Lot 2, the Upper Flat 43 Northview Drive. The guide has been reduced to £100,000. Lot 4, the garages and forecourt at Kingshalls in Thundersley. The forecourt comprises 4 parking spaces and not as stated in the catalogue. Lot 5, 19 Castleton Road, Wickford. The guide price has been reduced to £300,000. Lot 7 has now been withdrawn. That's the Gallywood property, that's been withdrawn. Lot 9, 15 Brightwell Avenue, Westcliff-on-Sea. The guide price has been reduced to £135,000. Lot 11, 25 Radford Way, Billericay, has been withdrawn. Lot 13, the land of the Terrace Churchill-on-Sea, has been sold, prior. And Lot 14, a property that I know there has been considerable interest in. Completion will take place 3 months after exchange of contracts and not as stated in the catalogue. So, ladies and gentlemen, please bid openly and clearly. After the bidding has stopped, I shall generally invite firm bids 3 times, going once, twice, and for the final time. Some leave bidding till the last second. Very exciting, but you run the risk of me missing your bid and then you losing the property. If you're the successful bidder, a binding contract is made on the fall of the gavel, and then you're obliged to complete in accordance with the general and special conditions of sale. We recommend that you go to the contracts desk at the back of the room as soon as possible after you have bid to finalise your purchase. To save any delay at the end of the sale, and unless you are bidding on more lots, please make your way to the contracts desk as soon as you have made your purchase. Deposit payments can be by cheque, debit or credit card, but not cash. Anyone requiring finance can discuss their requirements with our colleagues from Affinity Mortgages who are here. Feel free to speak to them about all your property loan requirements, including auction finance. I'd like to thank Tollers Fisher Solicitors who are here today and will be happy to answer any last-minute legal questions. E.H. Taylor Accountants, they're also here to assist with any general accounting and taxation inquiries. Looking ahead, our next auction of 2018 takes place here on the 6th of December 2018. We already have a number of very interesting lots. Lots for the December sale. If you have any lots for the December sale, please come and talk to a member of the auction team who will be very pleased to help you. The catalogue has been out for 3 weeks. We've been available to answer questions beforehand. I'll not be answering questions during the auction. If you do have any last minute questions, please speak to Rob Hennessy, Chelsea Anderson, or the representative from Thomas Fisher. Right. Make sure I've got my gavel in my hand. Okay, lot 1 then, 3 Beresford Road, Southend-on-Sea, Essex, a freehold property. Guided at £125,000. There's been a considerable amount of interest in this property. We know that there's been a lot of bidding and pre-interest. So where would you like to start? Somebody like to start me at 120,000? 120,000 anywhere at the back? 110 anywhere? Someone give me some help. Oh, hello. 110, thank you. 115 at the back. 115, 120, 120, 125 anywhere? 125, 125,000 bid. 130, no sir, thank you. £125,000 bid at the back. Property's now in the market, we're ready to go. So 130, 130 at the front. 130,000, 135,000, 140. No, £135,000 at the back. 137, sir? No, 135,000 at the back. On the left, 140? 140. 140,000 on side. 145,000 at the back. No, 140,000 at the side. On the right, 100 and so we're up to 145,000 at the back. 2 together, right. 150, sir? No, you're together, right. So we've got 2 hands there. That's all right. So 145,000 at the back. Looking for 150,000 in the room. 150,000. Should we go up in 2s now? Might make it a bit quicker. So 150,000 there. 152, 154. No, 152 at the back then. Are you all out? No, 154. 156, 158, 158 on the back wall. 160, lady sitting down, 160, looking for 162. So 162 at the back, 164, sir. 164, 166 anywhere. 166, 168, 168. No, so 166 at the back. So selling then 168, lady sitting down. 168,000, going to 170 then for the next bid. 168,000, so 170,000 bid on the back wall. 172, 174, 174, 176, 176, 178, 178, 180, 180, 182, hesitating. 180 then, the lady sitting down. Selling then. £180,000. Has everybody done it? 182,000. 182 at the back. 184. 184. The lady sitting down. 186, sir. 186. 188. 186 on the back wall. £186,000 on the back wall, sir. Are there any other bids selling for the first time? £186,000 on the back wall. If you could hold your number up, please. £186,000 for the second time. £186,000 for the third and last time. Sold, sir. Thank you. So the second lot then is 15 Ashburnham Road. This is a late entry lot. It's inserted into your catalogue as a loose piece of paper. Once again, a 3-bedroom freehold terrace house requiring refurbishment, guided at £100,000. I think we all know that this is a good value house. We know there's been a lot of interest. Somebody like to start me at 120? 120,000 anywhere? I know there's been a lot of interest. 110 then? 100? 90? 90? Oh, 90. Thank you, sir. 90? 95? Looking for a bid of 95. So £90,000 bid. 95, thank you. Anywhere else to bid? 100, sir? No. Sorry, 100,000? £100,000 bid. So £100,000 bid. Are there any more bids on 100,000? 105? 105. 110? No? One more. 106. Okay, so 106, we'll try twos. Okay? 108? 108. 110? 110. 112? 112. 114? 114, you sir. 114? Are there any more bids? 116. 116.
125.
125, excellent, a strong bid. I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll try and go up in fives and then we'll ease down again. So, £125,000 bid on the back wall, 130, 130 bid. 130 bid, 135 in the room, 135 in the room, 140 on the back wall, 140 on the back wall, looking for 145. 140 then on the back wall, selling then. Where we are, with the glint of the day now. Ah, same lady, okay. So 145 on the back wall, 150,000 to the lady sitting down. 150,000, looking for 155. 155, sir, thank you. 155, 160, 160 on the back. 160 on the back. Are there any more bids? We have 160 on the back. Are there any more bids then? Selling them for the first time at 165. 165, sir. 170. 170. 175. 175, sir. 175. 180. 180. 185. No. So 175. So 180 then in the middle. 180 to you. 185. Who said 185? I've got 180 here for this gentleman.
185 in the middle.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I'm losing it. Okay. Okay. So we have got the bid at the back from the lady at 180, looking for 185. So 180 at the back, it's your bid. 182, sir? 182, there we are. 182, 184, back in it now. 184 at the back. 186 anywhere? No? So £184,000 bid, we'll be selling it. So 186, 186, 188. No, it's gone quiet. So £186,000, this gentleman here, selling for the first time then £186,000. Are there any more bids against £186,000 selling for the first time? Can you hold up your number, sir? Selling for the second time, selling for the... Hello, another hand. Oh, last minute, last moment. Few. 188. 188,000 at the back. 190. 190. 192. 192. 194. 192,000 at the back then. New lady. 192,000. Now other bids selling for the first time for 194,000. 194. 196. 194, 195, 1,000, 195,000 on the back, 196,000, sir, 196,000, 197, could just make it 200 if you like, so it's 196 here, £196,000 to you, sir, 196,000 selling for the first time, 196,000, got me again. Big hands. Okay. 197 at the back. 197, 198. No. 198. No. Okay. 197,000 at the back. Can you just hold up your number? £197,000 at the back for the first time. £197,000 at the back for the second time. £197,000 at the back for the third and last time. Sold. Sold to the lady at the back. Thank you. So, after all that excitement, we're on to the proper lot 2. I've only just started. Upper flat. Upper flat 43 Northview Drive, Westcliff-on-Sea, Essex, which includes the freehold. Ideal for developers. This is a vacant one-bedroom first floor flat in need of complete refurbishment. Guided now at a reduced guide of £100,000. I'll just wait for you to settle down a bit, otherwise you won't hear me and I won't hear your bids. Everybody ready for action? Lot 2 then, guided at £100,000. Would somebody like to bid me 100,000 on it? 100,000? 100,000 anywhere? I can see someone going. 025, thank you. 100,000. Looking for 105 anywhere? 100,000 is bid. Don't get me wrong, this property will be sold. We have £100,000 bid for it. Are there any other bids? Looking for 105. 105, 110, 110, 115. No. £110,000 bid, sir. Are there any other bids on this? We'll take 2s if you like. So £110,000 bid. Lot 2 then I'll be selling. 112, 114, 114, 116, 118. 116,000 then at the back of the room. 118,025. £118,000 bid. 120 anywhere? 118, 120 at the back wall. 122, 124 anywhere? £122,000 bid by the first gentleman in. 124,000 at the back. 124,000, 126, 128. 126,000 in the front. Looking for 128,000. 126,000. I'll be selling it. So let's sell then. Selling for the first time to you at £126,000. Selling for the first time, £126,000. Selling for the second time at £126,000. Selling for the third and last time at £126,000. Sold, sir. Thank you. Lot 3 then, within the same building, is the lower flat at 43 Northview Drive. This has got a 125-year lease from May 2018 and is in need of complete refurbishment. So this property is guided again at £115,000. There's been lots of interest. As there's the new freeholder in the room, how would you like to buy it? Yeah, you will. Great. Okay, would you like to throw me a bid then? How about we start at 100? 100, that's fantastic. Are there any more bids? So £100,000 to you, sir. Looking for 110, 110, 120, 120, 130. No, okay. So £120,000 bid for the ground floor flat at foot number 43. £120,000. Take 5 if you like. So looking for £125,000 in the room. I'll then no for 125,000, 125,000, 130, 127, okay? 127,000, 129,000, 129,000, 130, make it easy for me. 130, 132, no, £130,000 to you, sir. 130,000, are there any more bids in the room? We'll sell then at £130,000 for the first time, £130,000 for the second time, £130,000 for the third and last time. Sold. Congratulations. Settle off a bit. Microphone and walkabout. Here we go, folks. Lot number 4, garages in forecourt at King Shores in Thundersley. Nice freehold lot here. Guided at £45,000. A range of garages, a few opportunities with them, and all sorts at a fair price, I think. So here we are, guided at 45,000. We know that there's been a lot of interest in this. Anybody like to start me off at the guide at 45? Someone said here, yeah, 45,000. Should we go up in fives, looking for 50,000? So 45,000 bid. Okay, well, we'll take 47 then. Should we take 47? 47, 49, 49, looking for £50,000 to be bid. Are there any more bids on this property? Yep, £50,000 bid. Okay, so going up in twos then. So we're starting at 50 with you, sir. So 52, 54, 54, 56, 58, 58, 60,000, 60,000 bid, number 14 there, 60,000, looking for 62, so £60,000 bid then. We'll be selling this one at £60,000 then. So selling for the 62,000, 62,000, 64, 64, 66, 66, 68, 68, 70, 70, 72, 72, 74, 74,000. So 74,000, sir. 74, 76, 76, 78, 76,000 then behind you. £76,000 selling for the first time. 78,000. So 78,000, 80, 80 it is. 80,000, 82, 82. Against you. So £80,000, shake of the head there. £80,000 from the first bidder. Selling for the first time then at £80,000, if you could hold your number up again. Selling for the second time at £80,000 and for the third and last time at £80,000 sold. Thank you to 14. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the next lot, lot number 5, is 19 Castleton Road, Wickford. This is a plot in excess of 1 acre. It's a vacant freehold detached bungalow in a highly sought after location and offering excellent potential for extension or redevelopment subject to all necessary consents. The guide has now been reduced to £300,000, which suggests that the property is in the market and ready to be sold. So looking for a bid of, let's say 300,000. 300,000 anywhere? 280? 280? 260? Start me where you want to. 250 if you like. 250 if you like. I don't see anything. Can you? No? I'm very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. As there's no bids on that one, we'll pass on that one. And come and talk to us afterwards if you could about that property if you're interested in it. We know we have had some interest in the past in that. So moving on then to lot 6, 3 Sunnybank Close, Eastwood. Now this is a slightly unusual situation because we do have a proxy here, and so I will be, not me personally, but as a proxy for the person who has instructed us, I will be potentially bidding against you up to a certain limit. We do have here 3 Sunnybank Close, Eastwood. This is a semi-detached freehold 3-bedroom bungalow in a popular and convenient location, not far from all the facilities. It's presented in a contemporary style with modern fittings, however is subject to structural defect, the details of which can be found in the legal pack. So the guide price then is at 185. Where can we start the bidding? Would somebody like to bid at 185 for it? Have we had 185 bid? 185 anywhere? Oh, almost lost myself there. Hold on, we'll just let this. Right. Thank you very much. So £185,000 then, looking for 185,000. Well, I can bid a proxy of 185,000, so would somebody like to bid 190? So I have a proxy bid of £185,000. Somebody would like to bid 190. We're looking for a bid of 190. 190 anywhere? Okay. The proxy bid can go up a little. We'll put the proxy bid in at, let's say, £195,000. So the bid's gone up to £195,000. Are there any other bidders in the room? Otherwise I will continue to reach this point of sale. So no other bidders, okay. The proxy bid then is at £200,000. At £200,000 is a proxy bid, and that is the property now in the market. So the property is now being sold for the first time at £200,000. For the second time it will be sold at £200,000. Are there any other bidders? For the third and last time, we are selling this property at £200,000. Sold. Thank you. Lot 7, as you know, has been withdrawn. Moving on then to Lot 8, which is the double garage in Hazeldean in Rayleigh. So the garage in Hazeldean in Rayleigh. Interesting property this. It's a double-sized garage in a nice quality residential area. It's got a separately metered supply of both power and light. It's clean and tidy, presentable condition, and I know that we've had a good level of interest. I know that there's been people to see it, and I know that there's people here who are keen to buy it. So guided at £25,000. Would somebody like to offer me the guide price, get things started? 25 then, we'll go up in twos after that. So 25,000 anywhere? Okay, 25,000, thank you. Looking for then 27.5 anywhere? 27.5, so £25,000 bid. Take £1,000 bid if you want to. 1,000? 1,000 or 27.5? 26,000, 26 bid, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29, no, so £28,000 bid. Are there any more bids on £28,000? I can see if you, right, 29, sir, 29, 30 on the side, so 29, 30, 30 bid, number 42 there, there's too many numbers. £30,000 bid on the right hand side. 31, sir? 31, 32, no. So £31,000, I'm instructed to sell it then. So selling then for the first time at £31,000, hold your number up. Thank you, sir. Selling for the second time at £31,000. Are you ready? Okay. 32,000, 32,000 on the right. 33. 32,000 then selling on the right hand side, selling for the first time at 32,000, selling for the second time at £32,000, selling for the third and last time to you, so on the right hand side at £32,000, sold. Thank you. Right, so 15 Brightwell Avenue. Well, 15 Brightwell Avenue is the second case in this group where I have been given a proxy bid. You'll be bidding against me. I know it sounds a bit strange, but that's how it works. Brightwell Avenue is a 2-bedroom ground floor flat in need of redecoration. It's offered with vacant possession, an extended lease, and is situated in a sought after convenient location. It's got the benefit of all facilities. So this one, the guide has been reduced down to £135,000. So would somebody like to bid me 135,000? 135 anywhere? 135, thank you. 140 from me. £140,000 against you. 145. 145. £149,000 I can bid. Are you prepared to? No? Okay, so £149,000 is bid. Are there any other bids against £149,000? I do have the proxy. Sir, 150, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 156, 156. £156,000 is bid at the back. Are there any other bidders against £156,000 in the room? Otherwise I'll be selling. So 156,000 for the first time. If you could hold up your number, sir. £156,000 for the second time. 156,000 for the third and last time to number 18. Sold, sir. Thank you. Okay, lot 10. Well, lot 10, Garage 22, Great Drake Close in Thundersley, recently constructed vacant lock-up garage, apparently very good presentation, recently built and looks alright. Guided at £15,000, you'll be pleased to hear there's no proxy in this one. So what can I be bid for that property? 10,000 anywhere? 10,000, looking around. 10,000, 10,000, 12, thank you, 14, thank you, 14,000 bid, can I stretch you to 15, no, 14 and a half say, 14 and a half then, 14,500 against you, 15,000, no, so the highest bid then is £14,500, are there any other bidders in the room? We have £14,500 here. Are there any other bidders? We're very close, ladies and gentlemen. If you'd like to come and see us afterwards, I'm sure that we can do something. So we'll withdraw that one at the moment. Okay, lot 11 then is withdrawn. Lot 12, this is ideal for developers, a vacant freehold 3-bedroom mid-terrace house in need of complete refurbishment, situated directly off Ilford Lane, walking distance of all local shops and facilities. 3-bedroom property in need of some modernisation. I'm pretty sure it says in need of complete refurbishment. So here we go, guided at 250. I'll just take a sip. We had a lot of interest in this. I know that because everybody's told me about it. So, guided at 250,000, shall we start the bidding at 200 and go up in fives and see where we get to? So, start the bidding at 200,000. We have 200,000 anywhere? I know that there's been a lot of interest. 200, thank you. 205? 205 anywhere? 205 at the back. 210? 210? 215? 215? 220? 220? 225 anywhere? 225, 230, 230, 235, 235, 240, 240, 245, 245, 250, 250, 255, 255 at the back, thank you. 260, can I stretch you? No. 255 at the back, shall we take it up to say 258? 258 then, 258 bid, 260, 260 at the back. If you could just hold your number up, sir, I couldn't quite see your finger. Okay, £260,000 is bid at the back wall. Are there any further bids on £260,000? Looking for twos. 262, 264, 264, 266, 268, 268, 270, 270. Do you want to do 275 or 272? 272. Peace. Great. £272,000 at the back. 274, 276, 278, 280, 282, 284, 286, 288, 290, 295, 295, 295, 300, 300, 305, no. So £300,000 bid at the front. Take two if you like. £300,000 bid. We'll be selling it at £300,000. The gentleman here. Take one if you want to. Are there any more bids? We're selling for the first time at 300,000. Hello. 302, sir. 302, 304, 306, 306, 308, 310, 312, 314, 314, 316, 318, 320. About 325. Save my throat. 325, 330, 335. So 330 at the front, 330, 332 at the back, 332, 334, 336, 334 at the front, 336 at the back, 336 at the back, 338 at the front, 340 at the back, 340 at the back. Fives or twos? 5. He's going for it. So 345 at the front, 350. No. 345. So 347. No. Okay. £345,000. We'll take 1,000 if you want. After that we go. You take 1,000. Okay. £346,000 at the back. Sir, 348. Anything. You make anything, whatever. Don't make me happy. Okay. Where do you want to be? 349 bid at the front. It's making me very happy. 349,350. No. That's a definite shake no. £349,000. I know the vendor is in the room and he'll be pleased with this. £349,000 selling for the first time. £349,000 selling for the second time. £349,000 selling for the third and last time. Thank you, you've made me very happy. That's number 26, well done. That's great. Lot 13 sold prior. So 2 more lots and just a sip. Okay, lot 14 is 302 to 304 Westwood Road, West-upon-Sea, Essex. This property is guided in the catalogue at 375, but the guide has been reduced slightly. It is a vacant freehold 2-storey light industrial workshop with office at the rear, most recently used for the manufacture of clothing. The building offers potential for alternative uses as well as residential development, subject to necessary consent. So we have a realistic reserve here, a reduced guide, and the property is in the room to be sold. So where would you like to start, Lee? And I think we'll start off at 300. 300 anywhere? 300? 300, thank you. 300, 310, 320, 320, 330, 330, 340, 340, 345, 350. No? Oh, okay. Come close to 350 then. 348, 348,000. Looking for 350 then. Are there any more bids? Are there any more bids against a bid that we have of £348,000? Are there any more bids in the room? We'll consider selling this one then at £348,000. Are there any more bids in the room? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I can't quite get there at that figure. Please come and see us afterwards. If you'd like to come and see us, I think we can see if we can do some business with you. Okay, on to the final lot for the day then. Lot 15, this is 23 Wallace Avenue in Southend. Ideal for letting, a vacant freehold 3-bedroom end of terrace house. Need of updating and redecoration, situated in a convenient location not far from local shops and with good access to rail services. As I said, it's a 3-bedroom property, freehold, ideal for letting, guided at 200. Where would you like to be on this one? Can I get somebody started at, say, 190? 190 anywhere? 190, 190, thank you. 195? 195? 195 at the back, 200, 200, 205 anywhere? There's a movement there. 205 anywhere? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not quite getting the reaction that we wanted here. Are there any other bids against 205? Can we have a bid of £205,000 for this one? Come and see us afterwards. I'm sorry, we can't quite take your bid, sir. We're going to withdraw that lot and talk to us afterwards. So thank you everybody for coming, congratulations on successful bidders, and we look forward to seeing you all at the next auction in December. Come and talk to Rob Hennessy about any of the unsold lots. I'm sure he'd like to talk to you and see if we can do a transaction. Thank you once again.